friends, thank you for joining. If you got any questions whatsoever about the DGX 670 that you can see right here in front of you, or if you have any questions about this one, the Go Keys 5 or the Go Keys 3, now's an awesome time for you to ask. I'm just going to be playing a track from my latest album. It's just called Piano, and it's nothing but piano. This is called Peace, Illusion, Illusion. Enjoy. And congrats to those of you who have recently purchased your DGX or your Go Keys. Hello, Janix Soy Tufan. Thank you for joining, my friend. Do you play the piano? And do you have any questions about the DGX or any of the keyboards? Feel free to ask. Thanks for joining. Hey, I want to give a special shout out to one of our subscribers, Nancy, who is always chatting in and sending so many nice comments. Nancy, I hope you're doing awesome. I finally did catch you live as well. Let me come on the camera really quick. I just wanted to wave and say hello to you, and thank you so much for all the kind comments and just being part of this community of keyboards that we gather around. So Nancy, thank you for letting me know that it sounds good. And do you have any questions that I can answer? Because I know that you're into keyboards and the DGX maybe. What keyboards have you got? Tell me what keyboards you have, because I can't quite remember. If I'm not mistaken, you do have a DGX 670. Just chat into me if you have any questions, okay? right, Nancy. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That is definitely a very unique situation. I don't think I've experienced anything so dramatic on this keyboard. Yeah. But that's technology for you, isn't it? Technology can be very odd and very unpredictable. Very good. Good idea to save to a bank. Yeah. Speaking of electric piano, why don't we mess around with some electric pianos here? Let's adjust this so you can see it a little bit better. Check out some of these ballads. Ballads. All right. Thanks, those of you who are just coming in. If you got any questions about the DGX 670, I am taking questions. And even if you have a question about this other one, some people, that's their favorite. Some people prefer that one, the Go keys. All right, so if you have any questions, I am taking questions. And I want to know what you've been doing with your machine, how you've been enjoying it, and any stories like Nancy's story. I want you to chat in. All right, let's go. shout out to Eugene. Eugene wrote in yesterday, and one of his questions was actually just demonstrated by that ending. Let's play that ending one more time. I want you to take note of what happened in that ending. Check this out. Check out the ending. Did you hear how it kind of slowed down? So Eugene was asking, how do you get it to slow down at the ending? Is there like a button that you can press? And unfortunately, the answer is no. You have to program that in. Will J, how you doing, my friend? Will J says, when I use the tap tempo button to set my metronome while practicing, my keyboard my keyboard launches me into a jam session automatically. Is there any way to stop that? That's kind of crazy. How does that happen? So here's tempo tap. Here's tempo tap. So, oh, wow. You see, we learn every day. I've never experienced that. That is wild. I have never experienced that. Wow. So I see what happens. So the tempo tap makes you go into the beat you're on. So this beat I was on, the ballad, that's what it launches into. So what I would suggest if you're trying to find the tempo, you might not want to tap. It seems like it's a 4-time tap. Let me try. 1, 2. Yeah. So it's a 4-time tap. I think tapping 4 times is a signal is a signal to it that you want to party. Let me go to bebop. Let me try this. I'm ready for it if it launches me into a jam session. But let me just try it with this. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. But if you make the mistake of tapping 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, problem solved. Problem solved. Well, so the problem is if you tap 4 times, especially if it's on count. But let me see if I tap 4 times off count. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, so it's if you tap consistently like 4 times on beat, like for bebop. There you go, it just goes crazy. Oh my goodness, you see, I've never even seen that. Did you see went to 500? That is pretty wild. So I actually learned something from you, Will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it just goes wild. That is crazy. I've never been able to take my metronome beyond about 200 and something. So now you just showed me how I can get it even crazier. So I think it's the 4 taps. Just don't tap 4 times. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But thank you. I learned something today. Yeah, see that? And I'm battle ready. I'm battle ready. I'm ready. Let's go. Oh dear. Well, thank you for that lesson. Well, that was very interesting. Yeah, it's just, just the intuition that when you tap 4 times, and you know how I'm kind of attuned to this because when I'm doing all of those style programming things, I normally use the tap. See? But four is the magic number. Okay. Nancy says, my favorite one is definitely the DGX. It's so amazing what you're able to make it do. I'm not a great player, so my skill level needs to improve in order for me to really enjoy it so much more. So Nancy, I have on my philc.net website, I'm showing all the tricks, all the scales that I play. I'm showing all of them, fingering, the numbers, all that stuff. So yeah, just keep practicing, keep playing, and you just get better. And I'm learning as well. I'm actually a member of a number of teaching sites, so a number of websites. One of the sites that I have recently been dabbling into is the Open Studio guys. Really fun to watch, and it's kind of boring when you don't have someone to talk to musically. So for me, I find belonging to such communities and sharing ideas and what I'm going through, or just watching how people do what they do, I get additional ideas, So Open Studio is definitely a good one. But like I said, on philc.net, I actually have like a free, it's like an app, but it's totally free, and I'll probably let me see if I can show it to you over here, because I know a lot of folks don't know about it, and because they don't know about it, they wouldn't go there. But let me try and get it up here on my phone. I would recommend using it on an actual computer. But if you're not able to get on a computer, you can also, on a phone. See, so I don't even know if it's showing. Is it showing? Okay, so it's philc.net. Let me put it this way. And if you just scroll down, these are all the tutorials for you to learn any key. So just click the drop down, whatever key you want, whatever scale, major scale, minor scale. It's like an app that just shows you. And then I have some videos that have helped people, like me teaching my nephew, me teaching my buddy Connor. And then this other one, which is probably better on a computer, just shows you can actually play, like it's a virtual play like if you're on the computer, you can figure out the notes. So I'm teaching a lot of things on here, and then I have flashcards for those trying to, master the major scales and even the pentatonic scales. I recently added an app for that as well. So I have many little apps that, you can use to learn music, because it's important that we have that community so everyone can learn from everyone else. So that's what I would recommend. And indeed, the DGX, it just inspires me the more to want to jam, Let me give you a quick example of what I've been doing of late. So I've really maxed out this keyboard, and I know you folks can attest to it that I use this keyboard a lot. Probably one of the most prolific users of the thing. I've done everything from sequence, like take a look at my sequences. I'm not just making noise. Like if you go to the user section on my keyboard, just take a look at all of these. All of these are, I've got like 5 pages of sequences that I've done on this thing. Everything from George Benson's jams, George and Earl Clue, something reminiscent of Elvin Jones and Coltrane, everything, So you get to a point where you want something more. And I think the people at Yamaha, they did us a huge favor by putting this thing here. That's one. Putting that there has been really priceless. And then secondly, they've given us the ability to Bluetooth stuff in, which is bananas. I mean, this has been kind of exciting me for a while because I never really used it in this way. I would use the Bluetooth if I wanted to listen to music, but it suddenly dawned on me that you can actually send other keyboards into this and other devices into it. So guess what I've guess what I've been doing? I've been sending other music from Suno that I've programmed. I'll do a beatbox like this. I'll beatbox like this. So I'll beatbox and jam on this, and I'll create on the fly a really cool neo soul beat. So check this out. This is all from my phone going into this keyboard, and I can jam on it. Isn't that ridiculous? Take a look. Take a look. That's from my phone, you see. So I think what the Yamaha people have done is just give us so much leeway with this instrument. Check this one out. This is another one. Just from my phone directly into the keyboard. Isn't that wild? And I can jam on it all day long. So I find something I like. Check this out. Kind of wild. Isn't that wild? Totally wild. So when I look at this keyboard now, I look at it with a different pair of eyes. I look at this keyboard, as a tool that one can actually grow with, depending on what you're looking to do. But it's hard to run out of ideas when Yamaha have put so much leeway. You got Bluetooth, sending from my phone into the Bluetooth. And then you've also got the USB input, where you can bring WAV files. It's crazy. And then you can actually make your own WAV files on this thing. You see, so you can record and then you can save to WAV, and the options are endless, So I'm really enjoying my DGX 670, and I hope you folks are as well. It's really exciting. All right. Nancy said I'll definitely take a look at the site. Yeah, I put a lot of stuff in there, Nancy. A lot of stuff. Absolutely. And just looking at the keyboard, this keyboard, going back to this keyboard, what really excites me about it is I have been able to figure out how to use the style creator. To me, that is, if I was going to choose one of the top features, it has got to be this. It is so easy, so easy. And I'm going to demonstrate it. If you go to menu and then just go to the second page, style creator, new style, you got a drum kit immediately, but you can change the drum kit. See that? Isn't that cool? And I can just put that in straight away without drama. Going back to Will's theory, I'm not going to tap more than twice. All right, so it's now set. Let me try again. All right, so 120. Metronome on. It lied. 1, 2, 3. Okay. It's been a little bit temperamental. Let's take it down. Metronome on. Sync start. Watch this. Boom. Done. All I need to do is just put a little bit of secret seasoning, which is my quantize, and then I go to the next track. Next track could be a bass. Choose the bass of my choice. Okay, let's see. There's so many. Okay, duck bass is a good one. Or slap bass. As simple as that. And you know, the cool thing is I could choose how many measures I want each of the tracks to be. So if I want to have like 2 measures for the bass, all I need to do is select that. Enter, and I'm going to record it. Sync start, metronome on. Boom, done. Same thing. Secret seasoning, my quantize, and I've got a drum and a bass track. That simple. Now there's some reverb on that thing. I can always take the reverb off. You see, there's so many nooks and crannies in this thing. I just go to style and I tone down the reverb on those instruments, and I'm ready to jam at this point. Ready-made jam. And you don't need much more. Now, if I wanted to add one more thing, maybe some strings. Maybe some strings. There we go, something sublime. Go to the mixer, tidy up the volume so it's not overbearing. Get it down a little bit. And you do know you can pan to the left or right with these things. And then just sync start and that's it. That's it. Ready groove in 0 effort. Come over to style, come out, come out, come out, exit, exit, and boom. There I am. New groove in seconds. Oh, Louis. Louis, how you doing? Louis says, what a beautiful piano. I have the same one. Can you show me a trick, something special you can do with the piano? Well, hopefully that was a kind of cool little trick that I showed, because I just went from having 0 custom beat to now having a cool beat on my own. Now watch this, Louis, watch this. Watch this. I want to show you what you can do with the mixer. So check this out. Isn't that cool? Just your own custom groove. You just walked in and created it on the fly, and then you can put some of this secret seasoning in like this. And then you bring in the bass. Check it out. Isn't that cool? Some strings. Check that out. Check this out. No drums, no bass, just strings. All right, let's go. All right, key change. What's this? And if you get tired of the accompaniment, you know you can always split to a left and a right. So I can now play the bass on my left, like this. And put whatever you like on here at the top. In unison. accompaniment again. Here we go. All right, strings. One, two, three, let's go. All right, so that's one of the tricks, since Lewis asked for a trick. So the trick is to like really be all over the styles. And another trick that I've learned on this keyboard is that to get the best piano, you got to combine them. So as opposed to just having one piano, even though that's cool, what I do to get a more robust sound is I use the layer function. And in the layer function, I could choose another piano that has more bite, like the bright piano. It's got a lot of bite. Hear that? Now, when you combine both, you just have like a really crazy lethal mix of pianos. You have, oh, Nancy, that is so kind of you, my goodness. Thank you so much, Nancy. I didn't even notice that. Thank you so much. You're so kind. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let me put a comment in there. You know, I was so engrossed in jamming, I didn't even realize you had done that. Oh, it's too kind of you. Thank you. You're so kind, Nancy. I appreciate that. Now, one of the tricks that I've learned is, you know, when you combine both pianos like that, and what would normally have just sounded like a, when you add this to the mix, see, it's more robust, more full. It sounds much more robust. That's one of the things I've noticed about the DGX. And you know, while it has a nice piano room, you can get something that's totally way out, especially when you use the mixer. So if you go into effects after hitting mixer and you make sure you are in panel, which means you got to tap mixer a few times so that it lines up to panel. Now you have all the effects at your fingertips. And the reverb, you can tone it down because reverb isn't always so helpful. So, no reverb. But when you are sure that you need reverb, depending on where you're playing, and you put a little bit of secret seasoning in. Check that out. Check that out. On both pianos. Both pianos. And then you can come down here into DSP and even leverage that some more, because you got more of the effect. Let's hit enter, and I've got really large hall, really medium hall, or if I didn't want that and I wanted something else, I could come down here and look for what I wanted. Maybe I want some delay. Enter. Here are the details. You've got to go into the details, and then you can crank the detail up or down. The return effect over here, you can crank it up even more. I mean, there's so many options, but you know, to keep things simple, just go into Mixer, EQ, and play around with your reverb, and you'll be sounding like Keith Jarrett, maybe on his worst day, because he's so awesome. But jokes apart, you'll be sounding really, really nice when you find some good reverb for your piano. Just sounds so awesome when you do that. Yeah, two pianos, Nancy. That's the way to do it, especially when you want a different sound. Let me show you one other piano that's pretty cool. This ambient piano is a rather unique one. Now let's get rid of that and just the ambient piano. Oh, the cocktail piano, because it has this octave going on, this octave thing, and when you're playing it and you so I could tone down the reverb. I don't even need that much reverb on the cocktail. So this is just cocktail piano on its own. Now cocktail piano plus CFX Grand. It just makes you sound like 10 times. It just 10x's you. Without, but with, because it sounds as though you're running with two hands. It just amps up your playing. On its own, but with the dreaded cocktail piano. It just amps it up, and I wish I could do that with two hands, but I can't. But with cocktail piano, yes I can. The cocktail piano is really cool. Yeah. So tell me, what do you do more of, Nancy? Do you play for a band? Or do you just play on your own? Or do you play for amusement? You know, like sometimes I sit down at the piano and I play for mental health, you know, not because I am a pianist, but because I just want to space out, zone out, have a good time, decompress, you know. So depending on what you do with the piano, there's so many advantages, you know, with your piano. And one of the advantages for me, I want to begin eventually playing in these nursing homes, older people's homes, because I want to bring a little bit of joy by just showing up and just playing. I'm still working on a bit of my repertoire. It probably won't be this keyboard that goes with me though, but assuming I had the energy to carry it up and down the stairs and stuff, I would definitely take advantage of the USB, because the USB allows you bring in WAV files, and you're just a one woman, one man band wherever you go. So that's a really cool function on the DGX that I like. And then the styles. I don't know if you've dabbled into the styles, but if you ever wanted to dabble into the styles, go to menu and you want to look for the keyboard. Yeah, the very first thing, menu 1, you just hit it. And you want to look at the fingering. You just tab over and you got fingering. And for the longest time, I was lost because I didn't know how to get back to what I was used to, which is being able to play chords with my left hand and for the chords to play exactly as is. I did a lot of trial and error, and then I realized it was AI fingered. That is the setting. So if you want it to play exactly, the chords that you're playing with your left hand, you don't want it to try and compensate for you because you've got it, then it would be AI fingered. Because once it's off AI fingered, it starts giving you all these minor, major shortcuts. You can just press one finger and everything will be a major, or you press a finger and behind and it'll do something else. I think a seventh or major seventh. So back in the day, like really early on in the 80s when I was learning, I wasn't that good with my left hand, so I found all of this stuff to be helpful. But by the time I got my left hand stronger, it was now annoying having those things trying to help me. So sometimes the keyboard can get in your way if you don't know what you're doing, and that's why I use AI fingered. So you might want to play with that and make sure that when you're playing a style like this, bossa nova. Let's go bossa nova. Bring it on. So if I was playing a bossa nova groove and I wanted my left hand to play the chords, that's it. I don't need anything else. But for some folks who need that help, you might want to experiment. So it's got like single finger. This one at the top, single finger. Look at what that does. Plays the entire chord with one finger. And minor. Is that minor? I don't think so. Maybe multi-finger. So the cool thing is that it explains major is the root key, minor is a root and a left black key, seventh is a root and a left white key, minor seventh is a root, a left white key, and black keys. I mean, so all that stuff, I used to study that stuff before until I became liberated. My left hand, I had trained it, I had equipped it enough to do what I needed it to do, and I don't need all that stuff. So my keyboard was, for some reason, it wasn't on the AI fingered setting, and I was trying my best to play, and the keyboard was trying to compensate for me, and I didn't need that. So if that's you, you got to go into the menu and unravel that mystery. But speaking of that, here we go. Bossa Nova. Nancy says, I play, oh, nice. Play for amusement. Wow, you worked in a live band. Wow, that's cool. Awesome. What kind of music was that, Nancy? Ah, nice. Oh, that is awesome. Well, let me know what you would like me to show you today, because you've been really awesome just staying on the call and then giving me that really awesome tip, which is really nice of you. So let me know what can I teach you today? Are you good with your chords? Are you good with your scales? If anything comes to mind, let me know. But this is gonna be a song for Nancy for her awesomeness. So I'm gonna call this The Joy of Learning. How about that, Nancy? The Joy of Learning. And you actually have an advantage because as a singer, you do minimal work on the piano. You're just filling in some basic chords. Like once you know the 1 4 5 or the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 on every key, and you've got the singing to back you up. My goodness, that's all you need. You don't need a whole lot. You don't need a whole lot because you've got the voice to back it up. But this is going to be called The Joy of Learning. And this song is for Nancy, The Joy of Learning. Here we go. All right, the joy of learning. I hope you enjoyed that, Nancy. Oh, rock and roll. Okay. Oh, stuck on sheet music. It makes me slow and takes a lot of practice. Ah, yeah. Sheet music, it has its pros, and it doesn't have to have cons as long as one gives oneself a little bit of relief every now and again. You got to give yourself a little bit of relief. And what I mean by that is like treat yourself to a little bit of sheet music and a little bit of something else that you enjoy, you know? I think that's the way to do it. uh, yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Awesome stuff. Thank you. Yeah, so for those people, like Nancy, who want to do a little bit of improvisation, don't let anything stop you because you shouldn't have to be marginalized. I was listening to what Victor Wooden was saying a few weeks ago in one of those interviews, and he said, when you're learning how to speak, no one's giving you a book and saying, oh, you need to learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all of these short words before you begin speaking. No, you just learn the vibe by talking to those around you, listening to parents, listening to siblings, and before you know it, you're speaking. So when it comes to music, it doesn't have to be different. I know the purists may want to make it different, say, you got to learn all this stuff first. But there's nothing wrong just, coming to the piano and being inquisitive, being curious, and just learning how to move around. You don't even necessarily have to learn all the rudiments before you just begin playing. If I had known this earlier, I would have had so much more fun earlier. See, and also when it comes to improvisation, when I met Chick Corea at Cabot Hall in London, I asked him a question about improvisation. How do you do it? What are the scales you're playing when you're doing all these crazy improvisations? And Chick's answer was very simple. It's like, yeah, while the scales and all that stuff is very important and it's good, but after you've learned all of that, you got to play what feels good to you, as opposed to getting caught up with what it's called. Just be free. Just be free. Don't let anyone stop you. Just play whatever you like. Don't calculate it, but make sure that it feels good to you. And if it feels good to you, play it. That's how you should approach improvisation. So, you could improvise within certain bounds. Like I can say, I want to improvise just on the white notes. All that stuff wasn't made up, right? It was just me playing spur of the moment. Sometimes I close my eyes to take my inquisitive mind out of the equation and I just play what comes to me. I just become the river. So like now my eyes are closed. Sometimes you just have to close your eyes because your mind wants to join what you're playing to, what it thinks you should play. And I don't let it do that. So a lot of times I could close my eyes and I just zone out and I don't care whatever happens. So I don't know what I'm going to play and I don't know what I'm playing. And that's how you can approach improvisation. Now, one of the easier ways to improvise and sound a little bit more coherent is to just play with the black keys. And you can do this with your eyes closed as well. You don't have to look at what you're playing. Just stick to the black keys. All that with my eyes closed. Something else that's important when you're improvising is you got to decide the tempo. So if I put something on like this, I should be able to improvise to the tempo. All with my eyes closed. So that's my view to improvisation. You gotta cut yourself some slack, decide to play the white notes, decide to play the black notes, or maybe decide to play a combination as you begin to get more and more advanced. That's what I would advise. Okay. All right. When I do that, it sounds like the cat is on the keys. It could sound like that, and that's okay. You know, what's his name? Cecil Taylor. When Cecil Taylor's playing, that's that's what you're thinking. And yeah, that's okay. You sound like an avant-garde jazz pianist, and that's cool. But you know, another way you can improvise is by holding a chord like a C major 7, an F major 7, a C major 7, an F major 7 like that, and just playing any of the white notes up here. It's actually a nice little reward for, you know, for you after you've gone to your music lessons for the evening. So anything. So one finger playing. You see, there's so many people who are very good at reading sheet music, but the moment you bring them to a piano to improvise, they shy away from it because they feel they're going to play something that is, you know, not good. And, you know, there are no rules. You don't have to, it doesn't have to sound picture perfect. You know, every great pianist was a bad pianist first. You got to remember, everyone who plays like the awesome Keith Jarrett or the McCoy Tyners of this world, you know, rest his soul, they started off and they weren't that great because, remember, they didn't have all their monster chops, you know. Something else that I've done that has helped me become a better improviser is taking it across all the 12 keys. So, you know, I could start off playing something on C. Then I take it up to C sharp. That's actually a good exercise, Nancy. So let me give you one exercise. Just play the major scales. Then take it up to the next one sharp up, C sharp. And just play the notes. You can skip some of the notes, but just play the notes in the scale. like that. Just keep taking them up. And in that way, you can actually compete with yourself, see if your left hand can keep up with your right, and if your right hand can keep up with your left. It is quite a lot of fun, I must tell you. There's nothing like improvisation because it's like you being as free as a bird, you know. Now, while all the written stuff is great as well because it helps you become more fluid, the only downside with that stuff is if you never try flying out of the cage, then you're always going to be in the cage. And it's not fair. It's not fair. You shouldn't be confined to just playing what is written. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people are confined to the written, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair as a human. I don't think you should be confined to what is written only. You should give yourself a little break, a little treat. Okay? All right. Well, I don't see any other questions. I'm going to say thank you, Nancy, for coming through. Thank you for the generous tip. And to Will for helping me learn something. Gen X, thank you also for coming through today. All right. You folks take care. And I'll see you again very soon, hopefully. All right? And I'll tag you in the community if I have anything to say. All right. Oh, you've been learning inversions. Nice. That's the way to do it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'll say my goodbye. Au revoir. See you soon.